wasn't easy, and it wasn't pleasant.
Did you ever think you'd lose? Did you ever lose confidence? Did you ever say,
No.
I may not get out of this?
No.
Not once.
Not once. And the reason I didn't say it is because I had to go back and do it myself. You see, I built what I built myself, and I did it by working long hours and working hard and working smart. More importantly than anything else, by using my own brain. And there was a point where I was making so much, so fast, and it was so easy that I almost got bored. And it's true. And I write about this. I mean, I'm writing about this. It's really been an
I
experience.
should believe you here saying, in a way, this was good because it gave me a chance to test myself. The adversity was good. It put me back. It made me leaner and hungrier again because everything was at stake and therefore I had to pay attention.
Well, I think I'll look at it in the future as being good. You know, when it was happening, I had no choice. I just had to do it. I did it myself. And all of a sudden, I'll give you an example. Riverside South. I've had Riverside South for 5 years. I've had the plan for 5 years. I went through a succession of executives that were in charge of Riverside South. A year and a half ago, I took it over myself. And as you say, I got a 12-0 vote, and you were told that I sort of did it myself. I did do it myself. Okay. You can't believe everything you read, but I did do it largely myself with a group of people, but I really spearheaded something that's turned out to be, I think, going to be a great thing. I really went back to work, and I really did things myself, and I think that's why I survived, and I think maybe, who knows?
Yeah, let me point out a couple of other things here this time. You lost during this period 3 key executives who died in a helicopter crash, and friends who were running, and then you went through some executives after that and finally put your lawyer in charge down there, right?
You've done a great job.
You had a divorce. You were fair to say people were laughing at you about this divorce. And we were amused in the tabloids. I was living in Europe at the time, but we were amused by it. But at the same time, some people said, enough of this. I'm tired of
I
reading
would have
about
loved to
this
say
kind of stuff.
I couldn't help it. It was
Yeah, but you were feeding the columnists too.
I wasn't feeding. I mean,
You had no conversation with all these people?
You know, it wasn't a
Or
feed.
was it-
It wasn't a feed. It was a frenzy, I have to tell you. And I wasn't feeding anybody. They were feeding themselves. They were making up stories. I called up one of the top people in one of the New York tabloids, and I said, hey, look, this is ridiculous. This story didn't happen. Don't put it in. He said, I know it didn't happen, but Donald was selling papers like crazy. And they knew it before the story was written. They put it in anyway. And I think the 28 days in a row, I mean, you know, we talk about Woody Allen was a big story. This thing just swamped everything. Okay? This swamped everything. This was the biggest of the big. It was crazy. It was out of control. And I guess it had all the elements of a soap opera.
Did it bring any satisfaction to you that during this adversity you were able to get out of the marriage at a time perhaps you gave up a lot less money than you might have imagined you would do at another time? Now,
Well,
come on,
yeah. I mean, there were those people that say that I did this purposely in order to get
Well,
out of
no,
the
but there are
divorce.
those who said that you used that adversity as a time to say, you know, it may not ever get any better, so you better, you know, people were saying you better make your deal now.
I was very happy to pay Ivana what I paid her. I mean, this was what I was supposed to pay her, and this is what I did pay her, because if anything happened a year ago where I went down the tubes, where I really would have ended up with nothing, she and the children would always have been taken care of. That was very important to me. I was making $2 million at one point.
By her.
By her. And that was going to be a nasty, contentious suit. And frankly, had I not had a glitch, I would probably not be on this program right now. I'd be at divorce court.
If you hadn't had, if you hadn't been down
Had I not
into the
been
bottom, if
here-
you hadn't bottomed out and put some pressure on her and
No, it wasn't a question of pressure. I mean, there was a point where she probably felt I wasn't going to make it. I mean, there was a point where a lot of people felt I wasn't going to make it, except me. I really felt I
What were you
was.
telling her differently than maybe
I wasn't telling her
anybody
anything.
saying?
I wasn't telling her anything. Well, she had to read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. I mean, they were making these dire predictions about me and others, but I guess I got more print than anybody else. That's the negative. I mean, the good is when you're doing well, and they do that. The bad is when you're doing bad, they do it the other way, all right? And they did it the other way times 10. So what happened is, had I not been involved in a glitch, I don't believe that we would be here right now. I would be studying for tomorrow's examination before trial, okay? And what happened?
You would have duked it out in a lawsuit.
Well, I think Ivana probably would have gone further than she did. But it got so bad, and the stories began getting so bad that she said, well, I better take, you know, what I'm entitled to according to the contract that we had signed. And she ended up taking the $10 million plus for this, plus for that. And it's probably a package of $20 or $25 million. And I think she was smart in doing it in the end. I think her lawyers were horrendous. I think she was horribly represented. She could have gotten a lot more money earlier if she had decent lawyers, but she had lawyers.
Meaning what? She could have gotten a lot more money earlier?
At an earlier
She
stage.
would have been more amenable to giving
No, at
more
an
money
earlier
in a
stage,
settlement.
I offered more money than she ended up getting. But Ivana, who is somebody that I'll always love, she decided in her great wisdom to nonsense characters that were just looking for fame and fortune for themselves, in my opinion. And they did a bad job for it. They really did. My folks did a great job for me. I had a wonderful lawyer who did a great job for me. And in the end, though, I'm saddened by it because I would have preferred the initial deal with Ivana. She was very, very poorly represented in this lawsuit.
You must have some sensitivity for a woman in what she might be going through. I mean, you seem all powerful there, and she doesn't know, and she has to lean on the advice that she gets. And people are saying, this guy's got a lot, tons of money. And
yeah, but she was leaning on the Wall Street Journal. I mean, when the bad stories started coming out, she was believing those stories. And she should have believed those stories. I'm not even saying the stories were wrong. I've done things, but I'm not saying those stories at the time were wrong. The economy was atrocious, and the business was bad, and the real estate business was horrendous, and the casino business was bad, and we're opening up the Taj Mahal in the middle of a war.
Right.
Okay, I'm opening the largest building in the world.
And people were not flooding Atlantic City at that
point. Well, no, everyone's sitting home watching the war.
And also, she's reading about you and another woman. That can't be pleasing.
She's reading, and I never left for another woman. I mean, this is one of the great misconceptions. I left because I got tired of the balls and tired of the ballroom gowns and all the nonsense.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm just one that doesn't necessarily believe, they call them the so-called charity events, but the people that have these charity events are probably the least charitable people I've ever met, and they have them for their own, vilification. They have them for their own, whatever it is, they have them for their own, and they want the press, and they want the nonsense. And
why do we care if it generates a lot of money for charity?
I'm not sure that it does. I'm really not sure that it does. I mean, I look at some of them, and I look at the expense, and I look at the magnificent table settings at the Plaza Hotel, which I'm very happy about, but at the Plaza Hotel and all the other places. And in the end, I don't think they make a hell of a lot for charity. And then I look at United Way, where the man's paid, virtually millions of dollars to run United Way, and I look at what happens in charities. I studied charities, and there are very few well-run charities.
So you got tired of the gowns and the ball and all that stuff?
I got tired of the scene, and I knew the scene, and I knew the people, and some of the people I like, in all fairness, and some of the people I don't like.
Someone listened to that would just hear you say that. That's not what happened. This was a guy who was on top of the world, and he wanted to have his cake and eat it too. He wanted out because he wanted to date a lot of young, attractive women who viewed him as a giant catch. And an interesting man to be with.
I'm out now, and it's great. I have to tell you, I really like it. I think it's great. I've never had a better time.
Tell me what's great about it.
I just like it. I mean, for whatever it is. Maybe I shouldn't like
freedom,
it.
The independence.
It's a freedom. It's a freedom. I can do what I want. I can be with who I want to be with. I really like it, and I would tell you if I didn't. And by the way, I think at a certain point, I won't like it. I'll get tired of it.
At a certain point, you'll say, I want to settle down with one person?
At a certain point, I think I'll say that. I think I'll say that very strongly. But, at this point, I do like it. I had a fabulous wife in many respects.
Great kid.
Fantastic children, great children. I love them, and so therefore that was so worthwhile. I had another friend later who was also fantastic for.
Why is it so slow? Mm-hmm.